You could tell me when to begin, no? All right. Since the United Nations Summit on Education on the Environment and Development, sustainable development has become a very popular word. There are many people that responded in various ways, and today we'll be experiencing one way that we have a particular individual responding. Today we have with us Simon Arana, and Simon is going to share with us the history of his farm and talk to us about how he has gone about to establish this farm in a manner that purely reflects principles of sustainable development. So Simon, maybe you can just give us a background of...
Yes, first, I must need to mention my name. My name is Simon Arana. I've been working on this farm since 1983, which is about 14 years ago. And this is the first area that I started. And when I started with the idea of sustainable growth, self-sufficiency, and this is what I've been doing. And the first portion of land I cut was this 4 tas here, which is about ½ acre, and I have it planted with coconut, soursop, and also breadfruit.
Yes.
This is the first area that I started to work on.
And that was about in what year?
1983.
1983. Okay, so that's about actually 14 years now.
Yeah. Okay. I started with 1 machete and 1 small little axe, and this was the way I started.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been growing, I've been sustaining the growth from ever since, just little by little every year, as much as I could sustain.
And in terms of labor, I know that, well, for those that will be viewing what we are sharing here, they'll be able to see the various crops that you have planted besides those that are in the immediate area. But in terms of labor, what was it like for you?
Well, in the beginning, it was discouraging in the beginning. But my faith in what I was doing, to be successful in what I was doing, was the driving force for me. That was the motivating force, which continuously keep on adding every year, because if you see this plot here, which is 4 tas, all you can see is large trees, like as I said earlier, coconut, breadfruit, soursop. But had you come here, when I first cut this place, you would have seen different varieties of food stuff. Here I had plantains, I had okras, I had pumpkins, I had tomatoes, I had cucumbers. I had different varieties of things which would have been able to sustain me during the period of time when I'm working. Keep working and keep planting the things that I eat.
Okay, and would you like to mention some specific ways by which having this farm and doing all that work benefited you and your family?
Well, it has benefited me in that I always have my food. I always have plenty. When I first started out life as a matured man, I joined the military of Belize, and from the military of Belize, I see that the system was not a fair system to me, so I decided to come out and do my own thing, And it was really rough starting, to know that you have a family with children who is looking to you for sustenance, and yet here you are doing something which is not immediate rewarding.
That is, I could imagine the challenges, especially in terms of getting funds and pouring it into the farm. But in that regard, what would you say? Is it something that you would actually encourage somebody else to do, or what particular advice you would give somebody that would like to get into something like this?
I encourage every poor person to do this, because if you walk around You know, we as Baha'is, we go around, we talk to other Baha'is, we interact with other people, and we get to see other people's way of living. And as you go around, you can see the struggles of everyday life is for food. Every day, the average person is thinking about, where am I going to find it for tomorrow? Where am I going to find it for later? And I was living like that too. And I said, no, I have to get out of this, you know. I have to stop crying where to find food daily. So, and this was the answer for it. This was the answer. You have to plant enough.
In terms of what you have planted, it has, as you mentioned, it has definitely benefited you and your family. Now, just comparing the input that you have and what you get out of the farm, this is something that you just continue to do, or you think that you might need to think about maybe working with somebody or just continuing, you know, along the path that you have followed?
Well, when you say working with somebody, I would like to know what you mean. I mean, employment or...
That's right.
You know, well, that is the farthest thing from my mind now, employment, you know. I mean, I have been through the roughest part, you know. Now it is easy, you know. I mean, the amount of development. I mean, I have 20 acres. First, originally I got 10 acres, which is block 27. The boundary runs from here, this way, and block 27 is angled this way. Now, they should have surveyed this place before the issue. They leased to me, but they did not. So when they came to survey the place, I had already planted all these citrus, you know, and they were grown. So many of my plants were in another block, only to find out when they come on the spot inspection, you know. Now, they came here, they look around, and the lands officer told me, I think we need to do our job now, because we thought that you were one of these dry weather farmers giving us trouble. Now we realize that you are a good farmer, so we'll come to survey this place very quickly.
I think that's a very important point that you had mentioned earlier in terms of, you know, your what was the case, at least when you started out. I imagine that you were employed at some times, and then you
part employment, part working on the farm, and I was employed by a Baha'i full time for about 5-6 years.
So it's clear that you had a plan, you know, to really set up something of your own.
I used to ride on bicycle, going to my employment every day on Lynham Road. And when I come from my employment, I don't go home. I come this side. I leave from here when it's dark. The only time I go straight home, when we have Baha'i activity. You know, then I know that I have to be there on time. But otherwise than that, I come here until dark.
Now, just in regard to the health of your farm and your sanitation, did you at any time use other means of sanitation than machete, or did you use some chemicals for cleaning?
Well, in the initial stage, it was purely machete. I could not afford anything. You know, everything was totally dependent on my strength and health. Until after a period of time, when I got other employment, you know, and joined other groups of farmers, it was then other chemicals was introduced to me. And I was taught about the chemicals and the restrictions in the use of them. And so I'm very, very careful in the use of them. I use the minimal all the time, you know. I use herbicides sometimes. I do bush hogging, now mechanized bush hogging. That's been cleaning around in the field, right? And when it comes to the use of insecticide, I learned to use my homemade insecticide out of garlic and onions.
Ah, wonderful. And definitely, again, in regard to that point of environmental protection, conservation, I think that that's definitely in harmony with all these efforts. I believe that most people in the world now, they're quite aware of how polluted the earth is and how much care will need to be taken in order to prevent the accumulation of dangerous chemicals in our environment. So this point that you have brought up is something really significant, and I know that it would be something, a point, actually a wisdom that other farmers would be able to learn from. Here near us, we do have a few fruits that maybe we could take a look at, and just to indicate that. Okay.
These are sauerkraut trees, and these are young fruit.
How would you go about actually using that? What's the...
Now this, after it is matured, you can use it to feed on it, or otherwise you can use it for fruit juice. Very, very rich.
So you could use it as a fresh food?
Right.
Right. Okay. And that's something quite popular?
Right, very popular in the
Okay, all right.
Good for cooling. These are coconuts. I mean, these are from the trees that are here.
And in the community nearby, do you think that these products would readily be bought? Or?
Oh yes, oh yes. These are products that are used a lot in our community. So we have very little of them. We need to plant more.
All right. Now, we might be able to take a look at some of the fruits that you have.
No, here, if you look at this area here, we are used to the original stuff that was here was peanuts.
Okay.
I had this entire place planted with peanuts.
Wow. It covers about 4 acres.
Here, no. This here is only about an acre here.
Oh, okay, 1 acre.
Over there, it's 4 tasks, like I said, half acre.
Okay. So this was the first portion that you cleaned out?
Yeah, this is the first portion over there. While we had it brought this from the yard of the Universal House of Justice in Haifa, Israel. Yeah.
Ah, I see.
I brought the seeds down.
Okay.
So, this is the tree. It's bearing fruit.
It's a variety of citrus, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
The National Spiritual Assembly had juice.
Out
of this same fruit when they came to hold a meeting here.
Okay, and how large do they get?
That's the size.
Oh, I see.
That's the size over
okay.
There.
And how do you go about making juice out of it? You just cut it and squeeze it? Yeah. I see. It looks more like a berry than a... Wow, there's bees here. Wow.
For me, like I meet you before, you know.
Yes, once meet me before.
Yeah, been around for years.
Before this time meet you, before this trip.
Yeah.
My last time I come out with Teresa.
Yeah, okay. Right here.
Meet Teresa and Dory and meet you.
Oh, all right, okay.
Cameraman.
These were planted in September. These were given to me by Agricultural Department, and then to give them back seeds in return.
Oh, great. And what kind of yam?
These are nigger yams.
Oh, nigger yams.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Now, what's the purpose of, this here?
This supposed to be run on it.
Oh, okay.
This is the purpose of the stake.
All right.
It's supposed to go up on it.
So they are here so that as the nigger yam actually grow and develop, it just, grows right up.
Just go right up.
Okay. And where would you actually get the product, the yam itself?
From the ground, it's a root.
All right.
Yeah,
and how long would it take for it to mature? 6 months.
6 months.
Okay. I noticed that you have a few of them in this little area here too.
Yeah. Here I have yams. These are yams. This is the yellow yam.
Oh, yellow yam.
You can see the difference in the leaves.
Okay.
And these are the nigger yams. These are the yellow yams.
They're larger leaves, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you come this side, these are yam peas.
Oh, yam peas.
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you actually, this is similar to the yam in the sense that it's an underground
well, the difference is that these are smaller
tubers?
Smaller tubers, right?
Okay.
But they grow plentiful on the root.
Okay.
Whereas the yams, you mostly find two. Okay. Two big yams, up to 10, 14 pounds, 20 pounds.
Okay.
Here I've been cleaning this for cassava because I had this place here after I get it prepared for these yams, when they give me the seeds, it was only a little amount of seeds. So I had to do something. It grew wild on me. I clean it, plant up with cassava. Then I
now this is supposed to be a very...
Yeah, these are pure yellow cassava.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's, isn't it the one that you call the sweet cassava?
Yeah, it's a sweet cassava.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you actually get to use the cassava?
You also take the tuber out.
Oh, okay.
As we go up later, we'll be able to dig out the tuber to...
All right, to
really,
see what it looks like, no?
It looks like.
I get to understand that, well, you know, this, the cassava is very, very important to the Garnogo people. How do they tend to eat it?
Well, it is processed into cassava biscuits, which we call locally cassava bread, you know. And likewise, I mean, you can also process it to make your porridge, you know, in various ways, you know. You can use it for sahel. You can use it for, what's the name of this other one again? Farina, you know. And other different porridges. You can cook it, you can boil it. Now that's the sweet cassava. Now they also have the bitter cassava, which is poisonous. Now you will have to extract the resin out of that before you are able to bake it and eat it.
Okay.
You know.
Now how do you actually go about planting these cassavas?
Well, very easy. You get the stick. Bill, you don't have a machete there?
But these beds are prepared, though.
Yeah, these are prepared.
Yeah. Especially for reaping purposes, right?
Right. These are rigid.
Yeah.
Right?
So what would be the advantage of having it on the ridge?
Easier to reap.
Easier to reap.
Okay,
You know?
okay.
Like this. This would be a cassava seed. And you just soften the ground and bury the stick. Easy as that.
Yeah, that's right.
And in Africa, how the way they plant it now, they plant it in a circle, right? And then the cassava, the cassava they're going to pull out, it's right in that hole there. It's easier to reap. Because that could just go, you know, you could, especially if it's a good kind, you could just get some heavy roots and it still make you sweat before you pull it out. But the way they do it, you're just going to lift it out.
Now in there are sweet potatoes. All these little ridges where you don't see the cassava, they are sweet potatoes. You can see the leaves there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
I think James have control over the mosquitoes since James are red now. Those mosquitoes are harassing me, man.
All right, let's move very
So this
fast,
is the sweet potato. How is this normally used in the community?
It's the same thing. The tubers, we use them to put into the, what they call it, the cassava juice. That's the kiyu. You know, we use the sweet potato for that.
Oh, okay.
We also use it for cooking purposes. We also use it for pudding purposes. You know.
And it's
So,
nice on the potato chip.
not only for cooking, we also roast it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Big potato, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Finger licking big potato.
Yeah, well, I remember how my grandfather made it.
And they call it the warap.
My grandfather used to have a mill behind the house. A post, you dig it out, and then you arrange one next piece of stick, you jam it in, and then you just press. You know, press, and then the juice come out.
Well, we know that with cane, you plant it 1 year and you'd reap it, and you could still leave the roots there. How long have these been here?
Now, these that you see here, these are here for about 2 years now.
Okay.
Now, those over that side are over there for just 1 year now.
1 year, okay.
Those are new ones.
Oh.
Those are seeds that I got from these ones. Yeah.
Do you notice any difference in terms of the size that you're getting from the 1 year and the 2 year?
Yeah, well, the 1 year one are bigger and larger. They're taller and they're more stouter. You know.
All right.
In Corozal, they call it, how you call it? No, then they plant cane, the new ones, and then these are ratoons.
Ratoons, that's right. Yeah. You're just in front of a planting tree there, no?
Yeah, these are plantains.
Oh,
All what you see here, like these trees, these are plantains.
oh, right. And again, with the plantains, isn't it similar? You have suckers, no? You just cut it. How many times can you get off one plant?
Well, most people say that you only get 2 crops of plantain here in this area. But this is going to be my 4th crop.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is just maintenance.
Yeah.
You know? If you don't keep it clean, then you won't get the best out of it. And this is what I do. I always maintain, try to maintain.
Okay. And how do you go about doing that? I noticed that you have some suckers down there.
Yeah, these will be coming out pretty soon. I mean, you need to prune them. You have to take them out, you know, and then sell them or replant.
Okay. So when you originally started, how many plants did you have in this area? I imagine that you had been planting from.
Yeah, this was not the area I started. You know, I started, like I said, from where those coconuts were.
Okay.
So gradually I reached up to this side, and this was just about maybe 2 years ago I got this side.
Okay. And again, how do we get to use the plantain locally?
Well, for me, I eat it as changwa changwa. They call it in Puri language. They call it changwa changwa.
Yeah.
If you call it in Puri, it's chap chap.
Chop.
You also eat it as hudud,
Yeah.
you know, which is the beet plantain. You know, you mash it and you have your cereal and your fish. And, but I don't eat that. I eat the changwa changwa.
Yeah. People like it in different forms, huh?
Let's keep going and let's
okay.
move fast now.
You cut it right now. You cut it and eat it green and hard.
These are the red black-eyed beans. I'm trying to
red black-eyed beans.
yeah, I'm trying to generate seeds out of them.
Oh, okay, okay. This has recently been introduced to Belize, red black-eyed beans?
Yeah, I got it from Dr. Alvarez.
Oh, okay, okay.
Who's an agronomist.
All right.
Some sort of a scientist in plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he associated with Cardi?
I think he's associated with Cartier.
Ah, Cartier.
From Costa Rica.
Okay, all right. Ah. So how old are these right now, you said?
These are about 5 days old.
5 days old. Ah.
With 5 days, they go strong also.
Wow.
Well, maybe since you just come, you need to have a look at it.
Yeah. Ah.
It's a one variety. It's from this side.
Wow. They look quite larger though than the red kidney beans.
No, I don't think so. This is another variety.
Another variety here. Ah. Wow, another variety of beans. They seem to be doing quite well here, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I can get better beans than this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this is my first trial with them here.
Okay, your first
I
time.
think I can get better beans than these.
So most of these
This
are...
is another variety. I have
right.
3 different varieties of RK beans.
Okay.
Red kidney beans.
And most of these are recently introduced to the country?
No, these are red kidney beans that we've been eating, especially the big ones.
Oh, all right, okay.
The first one that we pull over there, first time I'm seeing it.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
Now here we have pink beans.
Ah, pink beans.
These were the remaining of my wife's cooking, and she could not make a cooking of the rest because it was too small.
Oh, look at that.
For the size of the family.
Uh-huh.
So I decided I was going to take the balance and plant it here.
Oh, look at that.
And this is it.
And you'll be able to get a lot more, at least from this. You know.
I'll be able to do more than one cooking.
Definitely, definitely. I noticed that they're also blossoming too.
Yeah, they're also pushing out fat.
Oh, okay. How old are these plants right now?
Now these are almost 1 month and 3 weeks now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now these were planted on the 21st of December. These were planted on the 21st of December. And they are blossoming.
Wow.
They were blossoming about 6 days before they completed 1 month.
Okay, wow.
These are pinto beans.
21st. So that's actually 23 days and they're blossoming.
Yeah.
Pinto beans. That is incredible. Again,
No.
that's a commonly eaten variety of beans, no?
No, red beans is the commonly eaten variety.
Commonly. Okay.
But pinto beans is the one that grow more here in the tropics.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
know. The
All
red
right.
kidney beans, they give you a lot of work, but this don't give you work.
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
work.
All right. What do you mean by they don't give you a lot of work?
Because they can grow better here.
Oh, okay.
You don't
Good.
have to give them that care.
Oh, okay.
You know.
So diseases, they would be a lot
yeah,
more resistant to
they'll
the
be more
diseases.
resistant. You know.
Okay, very good. Ah, wonderful.
How many pounds I will get out of this?
Oh,
Because
okay.
these are 10 pounds here.
Ah, very good.
And there's beans in there. There's
These are sweet lemons.
Ah,
These you see here are sweet lemon. The bigger citrus trees here are
okay.
sweet lemon. The others are tangerine.
Okay. You have really expanded here a great deal for sure.
Bill, let's drive to Salivia so that we can get you from there quickly.
So Salivia is the name of the farm?
No, the name of the farm is Barrier.
Barre. Ah,
Right.
okay. And what does that mean?
Barrier. Which means, I mean, it was a seat. It was the seat of the government in St. Vincent.
Oh, okay.
There were the people who were responsible to
Govern.
govern. I
Okay.
mean, that was the place where they were
I
sitting.
want to give my farm a name with like struggle. In Garifuna, it's a struggle in Garifuna. Wafago?
Afagoni. Yeah.
Afago. That's the name of my farm.
Oh, wow. That's
We name it today. When you write out how you spell me, my farm, my farm, help me with that. Afago.
He's a master in Garifuna too, When it comes to actually teaching, this
So
guy
time I
is
think I'm going to Malaya put you still? Oh yeah, too late.
No, today? No, I don't have the space here.
Next week Friday I'll be in town again.
Okay, no problem.
So fix me up, you know.
Video the citrus then. Yeah, okay, then we want to get to Salivia. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's right. You
That's
could
the
do.
ideal place
Yeah.
that we want to.
All right. Salivia. Well, I am.
You know Salivia, right?
Yeah, definitely. I live in Salivia.
James, you pick up a lot of weight at Dan Griga, you know. You're happy to the home.
Home is home now.
So your mommy gone up to the States already or what?
No, not yet.
You know, I named it after a place in Dominica where I visited in 1988. You know, and it's connected to the origin where I come from, the Caribbeans. You know, so I mean it was a mixture of it was an intermingling of the Caribbeans and the Africans, which brought about this new race, which is called the Garifuna. You know, so sometimes I always think about a new race of men that Baha'u'llah spoke about.
Definitely.
You know, because that was a new race that was born in St. Vincent.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And there's a lot that is definitely said in regard to the indigenous people, specifically speaking in regard to their destiny in the unfoldment of the New World Order, that they have definitely a special leadership role to play, setting examples and sharing of their experiences in regard to creating a just society. Now, Simon, just to turn back to this special area that you have, Salivia, what did you have here?
Well, I had rice here originally. You can still see after the rice stock. You know, this was just harvested in December, just about 3 days before Christmas.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah, okay.
So I sold
And,
them all to the marketing board.
So whom did you have to assist you in harvesting?
Well, we have the combined harvester. This is the machinery. You
Okay.
could see after the rots.
All right.
This is after
Okay.
the machinery.
Okay. So we can see that after all this effort had been put in, and it was basic manual labor, that was used in the beginning. Later, we had the opportunity. We had generated more funds to be able to use even machines. But how do you? Is this your first choice in the use of machinery on your farm?
When you say my first choice, what do you mean?
Is this if it would be within your power, then to harvest all of this, would you prefer to have harvested it with manual labor or just
machinery? It would be more costly to use manual labor.
Okay.
More costly.
Okay.
Manual labor is usually costly.
Okay. Okay. So to a great extent, it's a mixture of manual labor and a bit of machinery.
Mechanized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that I would imagine that you have a specific plan, especially in the use of your area, so that you don't have that much soil damage and impaction, related to machinery.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that it would only be mainly in this area that you'll be planting rice?
Yeah, this is the area that I'm going to use for rice. I mean, the Oasis, the person who is in charge of the Oasis project have been talking to me that they want to experiment on 2 acres of irrigated rice here in my field.
Okay.
So this is the area that I'm going to use from here to the back here.
Okay.
If you take a picture of this jar, this entire area here was full of yams and planting, the edge of it, which is the wing row, which is pulled by the bulldozer, pushed by the bulldozer.
And that's very good too, because actually the windrow, they tend to have most of your topsoil after the cleaning.
So I use that topsoil.
That's very good.
I use it. I don't know whether, Joel, have you taken the picture of that, of those cocos over there? Okay. Then over that side, we have the cocos, the yams. I also planted cucumbers there, pumpkins, and all those things are harvested from that side.
Okay.
Now we only have the cocos and the plantains now getting ready to be harvested.
Well, Simon, this has been a really special contribution on your part to share with us your experiences, your history in regard to your farm, and manifesting the dedication, the commitment, the responsibility, and the spirit of service, that you carry with you as you develop this entire area, and also setting an example for many farmers that they don't have to be thinking about loans and the high rates of payment that they tend to be faced with whenever they would be involved with lending money. I think that this experience that you have shared will definitely be highly valuable to not only young people, but also elderly farmers that have gathered a lot of experience. So we just hope that what has been shared here has been a great source of inspiration for others, that will be able to utilize in everything that we do, taking care of our environment, and at the same time utilizing it, for those basic purposes that we need to definitely satisfy, especially in regard to food. So again, Simon, thanks very much.
Yes, thank you too. Of course, the intention of this video is to encourage other people to do likewise. No lending institution will lend you any money if you do not have a start. You must have a start. That's the only way you'll be supported by anybody. You have to prove your worth. If you don't prove your worth, then nobody cares about you. It takes you to prove yourself first. So it doesn't take money to start a farm. It takes your health and your strength, and with the best of intention to do only the best that is good for you and your community. I mean, your family, yes, but your community eventually in the end, because what is good for your family is likewise good for your community.
For sure.
So what is in the communities come from the families.
You have definitely set an example, definitely, and the influence that such information will have will definitely go far beyond the district that you live in, the Stone Creek district. It will definitely have influence throughout the country, and to anyone that come to be exposed to the experience that you have shared here.
I'm very grateful to the Baha'is. They have been my main source of inspiration and motivation. And besides the Baha'is, I'm also grateful to my family for the support that they have given me, and more so to Brother Tom Berendt and Judy Berendt, who have encouraged me in the past and likewise have employed me to keep me on, in order to find a way of livelihood and at the same time taking care of my farm.
That's right.
So I give great homage in regards to Tom and Judy and myself and my family. The Baha'i community as a whole, always remember them in their prayers.
That's right. Okay. And how do you actually prepare this to eat it?
Well, you peel it, and you boil it like boil up. Fish, or you could also use it like Irish potato.
Oh, okay.
Meat and the rest of it.
Oh, all right.
No, these are cassava buds. Cassava. These are the processed stuff. These are cassava biscuits. See how they make it? It's a baking process.
Could you give me a description of this from start to finish?
Yeah. This is cassava bread. I mean, the tubers were processed. They are grated. They are strained in order that the resin could be extracted, the poisonous resin. That's why it is in bread. It stays overnight for drying so that it could, the flour could become a little dry. Then sieved. You see what's going on there? It is being sieved, and the fine part of it is been put on the comal and it's been baked. Very edible. Cutting off the rim, you know, to make it look more neater. There is an electrical stuff that they use to grind. It's right inside if you want to take a look at this side. Chris, over there.
Go ahead. Yeah, but kita by probably give over me.
Yeah.
Kita got me, right?
This is the grate. An electrical motor.
It is locally made, eh?
Yeah. You put the cassava tubers in here. This is the stuff that grinds it. It's the pulley. Yep.
And it works with electricity, is it?
Yep. Electrical.
I just put in the cassava and grind it.
Yeah. You have a long stick where you use and I have to keep pushing it.
And who is there?
This time, Acting Rodriguez. Yes. He makes drums and so forth. So these are the cassava flour. After it has been strained, the poisonous resin has been extracted out of this. And this is the stuff that has been sieved. And you get the fine part, which is the flour, and then you bake it.
This is wonderful.
Yep. Yeah, she processes a lot.
I forget the name, what's the name again?
How old are you?
Very good, huh? Very good.
You can make this with the dip now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very delicious.
Very good, how okay?
Yeah, most lady. How old are you? I have some really terrible. Let me in.
I'm just going to make the huge, right? Darling, you step on your cup. But I need one. Is that phone here?
Okay, baby.
Just keep frying it.
All right, no trouble, baby. I bet it for you. I did it right here.
You were not going to have problems.
Oh, Bishop Mula Lukabu, whatever. See, no fine me, you give it to Kabu. No, I'm busy for
Yes.
Hi, Papa.
See you.
All right.
Okay, good night.
Okay, good night, baby. Okay, that's nothing, darling.
You sure?
Yes, Papa.
I'm in, good night.
All right, good night, darling.